A lot of times when you want to do, when you calculate something about data in a file, you're not always sure how big the file is. And sometimes you want an algorithm, a computer program, that will do an analytics or some kind of analysis on a file regardless of the size. So in addition to calculating the average of something, you also want to have built into that program how many points are in that program. And so that's what this video talks about, is determining how big a file is when you're reading it. Our starting point, you can just start two ways. One way, you can take the average of file program that we just did and take that folder, make a copy of that folder, and change the name to be using average underscore with underscore file underscore unkn for unknown size. You can do that and then go in and to the folder and change the name of the C file to match that of the folder name. You can do that. Or I'm just going to do it from scratch. So I just go to the search bar, CMD, I get the command prompt, I open that up, CD desktop, CDC code, and then I use the make project.bat batch file and to make average underscore with underscore file underscore unknown. Then I take the average of file.c program and I find it, I open that up, and I do, with Notepad++, I do Control A, Control C to copy all that, and then Control A, Control V to paste it into the average underscore with underscore file underscore unknown .c. Good? So that's the normal way, is cutting and pasting the previous version into the the next version. The other thing I need those data files, and so I go to the data directory and I copy. This is just a bunch of different files, and the names of those files indicate how many points there are, so you can double check things. So I'm just going to take o10.txt, o100.txt, and o1000.txt. I just need those three to do the rest of my project. There's a word about data files. As you get more advanced, there's going to be strategies for how to store data, where to store data, and all that stuff. But for the time being, especially with small data files, it's a good idea to be less error-prone by putting it in the same directory as your project. So I just put all my data files in the project to make it easy on new programmers to be able to avoid mistakes. That's as we get more advanced, there's going to be more sophisticated ways of doing that. All right, so what are the changes that we're going to make to this program to make it be able to detect an undetermined number of points? So what we're going to do is we're going to replace the for loop there for reading data points with a while loop. And in English, what we're going to do is saying, while we're not at the end of the file yet, let's keep going. And so how do we know we're at the end of the file? Well, fscanf, the function fscanf, actually returns a value. Up until this point, we don't look at it. We don't assign a variable to it, right? But it does return a value. And so that's going to be one side of the while conditional statement. So in parentheses, I have fscanf, open parentheses, fp, comma, double quotes, %g, comma, then ampersand a sub I, right? So that's all in parentheses on the left-hand side of some relational operator. And the relational operator I'm using is exclamation point equal to. That means not equal to. So exclamation point in C means not. So not equal to. And then on the right side of this relational operation is going to be a special variable that we didn't know existed until this video, which is called EOF, end of file. fscanf, when it hits the end of the file, it will return EOF. And so as long as that's not true, keep going. The only thing inside the while loop then is incrementing the counter, right? Because we've already scanned, we don't have to scan inside the loop. The fscanf statement is part of the relational test that the while loop undergoes. So that's new. Once on the last file, on the last point, if there's 10 points in the file, it's the I value is going to be 9. So you're going to read a sub 9 into the thing. It's not equal to end of file yet. You go in, you increment by 1 to make I equal to 10. Then, when it's going to be the 11th number, right? A sub 10, there is no a sub 10 in a 10-point file. And so it'll jump out of the while loop. I will have the value of 10, not 11. So it won't do that increment. So I will have the value of 10, the number of points, not the index of the last point. So that's how that while loop works. That's cool, right? So that's kind of a neat little trick. So at the end, you assign a new variable, n, the number of points, to be equal to that last index value, I. And that's how you find out how many points there are. The rest of the program is the same. And so let's run it 3 times, right? So the first time we compile it, and we make the file name o10.txt, see that there. And then we compile it and run it, and we get the average of 10 numbers. And then we change the variable name the file name to o100.txt, and we compile it and run it. Notice that A, the array A, I set it to be equal to 1,000, the maximum size of the files that we're looking at, so that it's just going to be wasted space on the 10 and the 100 point files. That's okay. In this, for data this small, that's not that big of a waste. But you can see that it works for O10 and then O100, and then I'm going to change the file name to O1000, and lo and behold, it works as well. And so it works for all 3 different sizes, and it detects how many points are in each file. That's how it works, by putting the fscanf statement inside the while statement. And that's the cool little trick that we learned in this video.